Good evening. How's it going out there, folks? Welcome back here to a Wednesday night. It is the Earthmaster out here about 8:16 p.m. West Coast time, June 18th, 2025. Latest activity shows, well, they have a 0 up here on the map across Nevada, but notice some activity stirring up on the San Andreas Fault, also down south here across the Baja, California area. Notice some uptick in earthquake activity working its way up north into California here throughout the last 12 hours. Latest quake, though, specifically a 4.3 across the Tonga area. Still watching New Zealand down there. So let's go ahead and see what's going on here across California first. Latest earthquake there across the Delta with a 2.2 Susun City area. That is off of the, let's see which fault system, the Vaca fault zone. I guess it would be pretty close to Vacaville, right? A couple areas inland showing some increasing movement here today. Obviously, when we see inward strain activity across fault systems, that means things are building up here across the plate boundary. So watch the Hayward fault. That's a big one that's overdue. So let's talk about here the earthquake striking out here across the Parkfield area of the San Andreas Fault. Now, this is 4 miles northwest of Parkfield. So Parkfield sits, I don't even know if it's listed up here on the map, right down south here, just a little bit. So it's hard to see the plate boundary here, but you can kind of see it there on the map. It is listed up there in the dark red line. Okay, now the importance of this, and I do have to comment on this because someone said that this is nothing but fear-mongering here, that a 3.4 earthquake on the Parkfield segment of the San Andreas Fault is pure and simple fear-mongering. Okay. See ya. Goodbye. If you think that, goodbye. This is not fear-mongering because of the amount of time that has passed here between the last decent-sized rupture there along the Parkfield segment of the San Andreas Fault. Now, over the last 30 days or so, there's been hardly anything here across the Parkfield segment of the San Andreas Fault. So this is decent southward migration of pressure that's taking place right now, which could potentially be foreshocks to at least a 6.0 earthquake along the Parkfield segment of the San Andreas Fault. Now, every 20 to 22 years, we get large earthquakes there across the area of the Parkfield segment of the San Andreas Fault. The last one, as I mentioned, 2004, 9/28, 6.0, 10:15 in the morning. Okay? Now, every 20 to 22 years here, well, we already passed that 20-year interval, so we're getting awfully close here, I think, to seeing something bigger out there. So we have to watch this migration closely, not only for the concern that there's going to be another 6-pointer out here soon, but the potential that the next Parkfield segment of the San Andreas Fault, the earthquake that occurs out here, the next 6-pointer could very well trigger the southern branch here of the San Andreas Fault due to the accumulated strain that's been building up here across the past couple hundreds of years here. This is not something that just had an earthquake here a couple decades ago. This has been building up strain for quite a long time. The southern segment over 300 years. This area here over 150 years, and regular intervals occur 150 years or so across this region. So a 6-pointer could very well, scientifically speaking, geology and seismology agrees here, that we could see an unzipping pattern here of the San Andreas Fault with a 6-pointer triggering an 8-pointer downstream here. And with the potential here of the Garlock Fault shear zone, that's got many centuries here of built-up strain, could see a large earthquake as well. So we're into that time period here where everyone is thinking, oh, the sky is falling. You've been saying that for many years. But these people, it's crazy, It really gets to me to a point of where I really want to say something. The only thing I speak of when I reply on the comments is that, hey, this is the facts. Regular intervals occur every 20 to 22 years. This is the largest earthquake we've seen here in a little while along the Parkfield segment. These could very well be foreshocks out here to something bigger. and that's really an understatement of what I really want to say out there. But you know what? I try to keep it simple, keep it civilized, and there's going to be haters regardless out here. But we got to watch that closely here, folks, because this could be very well close to unzipping down here for another 6-pointer, which is pretty much on cue for a large earthquake into the southern branch of the San Andreas Fault, which is capable of an 8.1. And there's been some scientific study on that the next Parkfield segment could unzip it. It's not fear-mongering. It's really not. It's like I don't even know what I could compare it to make common sense out there stick into people's brains here. You got to look at the time period that has passed out here and the quietness in 21 years to where we're seeing right now some elevated activity. So watch that closely. The comments here, I read every comment out here, so that's why I'm a little bit stirred up right now, just because people don't get it. The sky is falling, nothing's ever going to happen, and it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy that people think along that level, that nothing's ever going to happen down here in Southern California. They just don't know. You just don't know. Common sense tells us here, and history, science tells us that this area is capable of an 8.1 earthquake. These people are going to be a statistic when that occurs. Watch the San Andreas Fault here closely. I'm talking about the Parkfield segment. If that goes, we could see an 8.1 down here. Southern California specifically right now, nothing above 2.5. Aside from that earthquake, as I noted, there are 3.4. And aside from a 3.4, if you look, there's been a 2.4 and a little 0.9. If you look back on the 2004 earthquake, there's the big earthquake, right? 6.0. 5 minutes prior to that, well, actually, this was after the fact there, a day after a 5-pointer. Where is my 1024? There was a 4.7. I'm sure there's been some foreshocks out here that occurred prior to that 6-pointer. 928, 1015. There was a 4.3. August 2023. So, well, that's been pretty recent there. That is, let's see where that's at in relationship to today's earthquake. South there, a little bit south. But regardless, folks, it's when you look at the amount of time that has passed out here, we very well could see some large earthquake activity. If I was saying, yeah, there's a big one that's going to strike out here on the Parkfield segment, and we just had a 6-pointer, that would be fear-mongering because we know that it's not going to occur again. These intervals of earthquakes occur every 20 to 22 years. Same for Southern California. If there's going to be an 8.1 earthquake striking out here tomorrow, to come up here in a couple weeks and say that there's going to be another big one on the San Andreas Fault would be foolish, and that would be fear-mongering. So much time has passed down here across southern branch of the San Andreas Fault that it's there. The potential is there. That's not fear-mongering. That is pure science. The strain is pretty much completed, and it's just a matter of time here. Just a little domino effect, I think, before we see some large earthquake activity out there. And that's not something I want. That's just something that has to happen because that's what happens in plate tectonics. The earth moves. Plates move. Us humans, for whatever reason, like to build ourselves and millions of people out here along a major plate boundary that can produce so much devastation out there. It's just crazy. Absolutely. That's why I don't live in a big city. I'm sorry. I can't do it. I can't do it. Northern California, not so much going on there. Let's check out the Cascadia tremor activity. 14 epicenters. Not a big deal underneath the southern Oregon area. No earthquake activity to note there across the Cascadia for now. There's that one earthquake there in Washington from this morning. Looking across the rest of the country here, Stanley, Idaho region, pretty quiet right now. Only 2 earthquakes there. 3 earthquakes, excuse me. from the last 24 hours, 3 of those from today. Nothing new to report there across the area for as larger movement goes. Across Yellowstone, nothing going on there, but let's go double check that, see what we have across the Yellowstone seismograph stations. There's some wind, it looks like, earlier today, maybe some thunderstorms out there, which was expected. Earthquake activity is going to be defined here in this little spike. That did show up quite nicely across Purple Mountain, Mary Lake. That earthquake was not reported out here. This earthquake is from yesterday, so whatever that one earthquake was showing up on the map has not been reviewed yet. Not a big earthquake, probably maybe a 1.2 or so, but so far they have yet to show it on the map. Texas oil fields still rocking and rolling. Nothing new out there, but it has been increasing in terms of the multitude of quakes out here. Watch for some 5-pointers. I'm not saying that to fearmonger. I'm just being realistic here. This channel is not about fearmongering, folks. If you look at my titles, if you look at my thumbnails, do you see anything that harbors fearmongering? 8.0 earthquake soon to hit California. You know, it's like, come on. I watch YouTube, left and right. There's so much stuff we watch out here, and to say that my channel is a fear-mongering channel is ridiculous. I look at statistics, I look at the time period that has passed, I look at current earthquake activity, and I have a degree to back it up. I'm not just a YouTuber out here that is trying to get clicks on my channel. That one comment there just kind of stirred me up there, big time. Mexico or El Salvador 5.4. Some earthquake activity up here in the northern end of the Middle America Trench, which is not fear-mongering, but it's very capable of producing some big earthquakes. Okay, this area can produce some 8-pointers. That is not fear-mongering. Okay, I don't want to downplay your feelings, but that's just the facts there. Science, goodness. I wish I hadn't seen that comment. It put me on a stir-up today, I'm telling you. Curl Cam Check, look at that, 5.9. Is that a recent quake here? That's pretty recent, it looks like. Let's see. That 5.9, about 4 o'clock, so that's about 4 hours ago. Okay, I did not get the notification here, but that's really interesting with that 5.9. Almost a 6-pointer. If you go back here, we can go back the last 30 days or so. Pretty decent cluster here across the southern end of the Curl Kamchatka Trench. Okay, now this area has not had a mega quake out here in some time. I don't want to fearmonger, but it's very capable of doing it. It's been ever increasing out here. 6.0, the middle section of the Curl Kamchatka. Now we got a 5.9, the newest quake further down south. Not so much filling in up north here, but I'm telling you, this area is very capable of producing earthquake at least a 9. Okay, we had a 9-pointer down here across the northern end of the Japan Trench. That's this little section here, little subduction zone. Back in 2011, that produced that major tsunami. You don't think this area up north is not capable of doing it? I'm telling you, it is, and it's building. So watch that region, right? Also, another area that I'm keeping an eye on is New Zealand. And that is not fear-mongering down there across the Alpine Fault either. This is something that folks have to be on guard and on watch about, okay? I want to slap myself in the face. I really do. Because I don't understand, sometimes these people are just thinking crazy stuff. The majority of the comments out here I read are exceptional, and I absolutely love all the comments out here. But this one today, I'm not into fear-mongering, thank you. Oh, they just don't know. They just don't know. So the fear-mongering, I think it was in regard to this earthquake activity there across New Zealand. The Alpine Fault, and this is straight off of scientific site here, is very capable of producing an 8.0 earthquake. I'm sorry, it's not a 5-pointer, but this is realistic. You have to open up to common sense here. You have to open up to history. We can't shelter everyone. Oh, there'll never be an earthquake in your area. Just relax. Everything will be fine. That is foolish. Hello. Okay. I'm not going to go that far. I can't go off the deep end like that. I really can't. Hello. The alpine fault, 8.0 in the past, with a history of ruptures every 300 years. The last major rupture was over 300 years. Hello, McFly, are you listening to me? Look at this activity down south here. There's a lot of activity stirring up, including that 5.1, a bunch of 4s and 3s. A lot of activity north here recently along North Island, working into the Kermadec Trench. What do you think? What do you think is happening to the middle section of that? You think it's just sitting there lollygagging, not building up any steam? Absolutely not. That is absolutely building up a major amount of stress and strain there across the Alpine Fault. That's why I point these things out. Not to fearmonger, folks. If I was a fearmonger, oh, you would know about it. But I'm not going to go that route. I just can't. I can't. Maybe I should redo this update. Maybe I should just end it right now and just redo an update. But this is unscripted. You know, I don't sit out here read a script. I look at the earthquake activity here and put my knowledge forth. And that's what I do on every single update. This is not scripted whatsoever. I don't even look at all the maps previous to that, like the trimmer map and the space weather. I don't look at all this stuff and think about what I'm going to talk about. This is all straight raw activity. So I put this into motion. I speak my education and my knowledge, and I point out areas of concern, and there's many of them right now. Alaska pretty active as well. You know, it's a 4-pointer up there. That's a very small earthquake, right? But it's been so active out there across northern Alaska, and that is the result. Guess what? That's not the result of rainbows and butterflies. That's a result of strain out here along the subduction zone, right here, the Aleutian Trench. Guess where all that pressure transfers? Way up north in Alaska. So when things are building up there and across Alaska, that's the time to watch these subduction zones here. The latest quake of 4.1 this afternoon. Nothing major going on here for now, but I'm telling you, this area, you've got to watch this. The 8-pointer that struck out here in 2021 was probably, I think it was right about here or so. But this area, it got some potential. Remember that 9.1 back in, I don't remember that. I mean, I wasn't born, but I don't remember the exact date that the big 9-pointer struck out here. But it's capable. I'm telling you, everyone's getting so complacent, thinking everything's full of butterflies and rainbows and unicorns. They just don't know. I'm telling you. I am telling you. Okay. A lot of activity stirring up here in the Gulf of California. Right off the Baja, California region, right? If you watch my video this morning, I said to watch areas northward, because a lot of times migration here does transfer northward. That's a general plate strain out there. We got the general movement here of the Pacific plate to northwest, North American plate kind of moving off to the southwest, but the whole area is moving off to the northwest here. And when things take place down here across the Gulf of California, increasing earthquake activity potential can take place there across that plate boundary. And that's where we've seen the San Andreas Fault Parkfield segment today. Surprise, surprise, right? No surprise, because I kind of called it this morning. 3.4 and a 2.4. Southern California, not so much, but that's a little eerie down here because it jumped over this region. But definitely keep an eye there on Southern California. Let's take a look here, see what else we got across the globe. Man, Krokam looks fairly well primed. I'm definitely telling you guys here. Nankai Trough, pretty quiet right now. There was this earthquake from yesterday of 4.8. Activity north and southwest of the region today. But watch that area. I could sit here all day and talk about how many areas are well primed for 8.0 or 9.0 earthquakes out here, but I'm not going to do that. I try to point out areas of interest right now that are very interesting and that are showing signs of uptick. But there's definitely many spots out here that are well capable of producing earthquakes of large magnitude at any time, which is scientific data, historical data out here. Let's see. The Atlantic Ocean, pretty quiet out here. Not a whole lot going on. Iceland seen a 3.4. Let's give a double check here of the big island of Hawaii. See if there's anything to chat about here. I'm not interested in that. Let's see here. Kilauea Volcano. This was still put out from a couple days ago. They put out a forecast here, or a prediction. June 18th to the June 20th time period. We could see another eruption here. I mean, they're kind of following a trend. I mean, it's following a trend, and they're picking up on it. That's good. We're almost at the previous level seen back in their last episode there, of episode 25 there at Kilauea Volcano. We're going back up. Inflation is going up. Guess what that means? It means that magma is further fueling the area below, and an eruption could happen at any given moment. I think, though, looking at this deformation chart, probably this time, maybe tomorrow night. Good possibility. Maybe late tomorrow night we could see episode 26 stir up there across Kilauea Volcano. Space weather activity. Oh, man, here's another fear-mongering, right? Oh, goodness, give me a break. Kevin did fix their site out here, 4114, back on the map. This was named 4116 there, but he caught it. I think he caught my video here, but that's okay. I'm a big-time supporter of Kevin with solarham.com. I've been with him for many, many years, and he's got the best layout, I think anyway, of space weather activity. I mean, it's simplified. You know, you don't have to be an advanced user out here to understand what's going on. The solar flare, 3-day geomagnetic storming, the recent flares, top solar flares. Very interesting map here. And by the way, so far this solar cycle, which has peaked out, it's already peaked out earlier this year. We're going down towards solar minimum. Only an X 9.0, folks. That's actually very minimal for a solar maximum. As far as any geomagnetic storming goes, aurora activity maybe on the June 20th time period. Really not expecting much. That's mainly from a coronal hole that's facing us here, number 57. None of these CMEs that have been blasted off are not in Earth directed, so we're not looking at that affecting the solar storm forecast. X flare remains elevated at 25% chance, M flare at 75%, C flare at 99% chance. Let's take a look here at what we got. 4114 there. The latest magnetogram image does show quite a bit of complexity here. It is kind of joining this other sunspot here. I don't know what's going to happen with that, but still got a potential here for some X flare. Also a newer active region out here that shows a whole bunch of popcorn colors down there across the southeastern quadrant of the sun. Harbors potential maybe for some strong M flare as well. That's going to be 4117. Watch that closely. 4117 shows a beta class, but I think that's way more advanced than that. That's just what's showing up here right now on this spot. That's got to be at least a beta gamma delta structure, such as 4114, which shows a beta gamma structure right now, but it shows it's growing. So it's been up and down with 4114. But we do have two major areas here to watch. This one, which is currently, well, if it's going to do anything, I think it better do it right now. It will be drifting off here to the western limb, out of sight, out of mind here soon. So that better do something very soon. But we also have this one turning into view. If that continues to grow here, that could produce some decent flares Earth directed, which could stir up the auroras if we get some CME activity. All right, let's see what we got here for the Storm Prediction Center. Current day one outlook. Looks like a little bit of noise out there across Oklahoma area up around Detroit. Got a 2% chance there for some tornado activity, wind, and a little bit of hail threat back here across the southern plains. But it looks like a big line of storms there for your Wednesday night, making a little bit of noise out there. I'll tell you what, I'll take that over traffic. Right now, not a whole lot, but this should fill in. Quite a few thunderstorms up there around Kentucky, back across Arkansas as well. Far as better go back here on this model run. Far as anything across the west coast goes, far as cooler weather, I think we have something coming in next week here. Let's check out this model run. A decent, actually that's a pretty strong low pressure system there. Bringing some much cooler temperatures here to my neck of the woods here in Northern California around this weekend time period, Friday into Saturday. High pressure building up here across the south. That's going to bring some much warmer temperatures out there. But it's probably not going to last long here across California. It's our summertime. It gets hot. You know, each year that goes by, I think I complain more and more and more because I don't like the heat. I really don't. I'm so tired of it. And I think the people around here are getting tired of hearing me complain about the heat. But I'm done with it. I'm ready to move to some much cooler weather areas. I don't mind the southern plains here. I don't mind the central plains. They get hot, but they also get storms that come through here. They get these clippers coming down from the north, and they got weather all year around here. We only get weather here from November to about February, as far as rainfall goes. So it's one of those things on preferences, right? I'm a big time weather guy. I love nature. I like greenery. I don't like the desert. I mean, the desert does have a beauty to its own, but I don't want to live in it. I would love to visit it. In fact, I've been through Arizona and New Mexico numerous times. I love the desert to see it, but not to live in it. But I'm tired of the heat. It's consistent. We're 90, 100 degrees or above for the next couple months or so here in Northern California. But I am thankful for that relief. So I'm not going to, definitely not going to down talk that relief that we have coming in. I don't think we have any rain coming up here, mainly into Washington, Oregon, which is somewhat rare here for June, but some cooler weather for California, so I'll take that. Nothing coming in for the tropics as far as hurricanes go. Seismograph stations there. A couple earthquakes there in Barrett. That's in Southern California. Like I said, the earthquake activity here has jumped from the Gulf of California with a decent amount of earthquake activity down here. You can see that 4s and 3s stirring up there in the Baja, California area. Jumped over Southern California, hitting the San Andreas Fault along the Parkfield segment. And it's, these can fill in. So just be on guard, folks. The best thing you can do is be on guard. And, I try to put this out as simplified as I can without fear-mongering. And I try to point out the potentials here and let people know what is capable, how much time has passed, what's going on around the area right now, and areas to watch, right? And it's just, I try to appeal to everyone, so the comment that came in earlier, it's just, it's hard to ignore. I definitely try to appease everyone out here, but I guess you can't, right? In a world of, and if I'm doing something wrong, I'm very open to constructive criticism there. If I'm pointing out something wrong, like this, say for this example in Las Vegas, outside of Las Vegas, a -2. Man, can you believe that? There's a big earthquake outside of Las Vegas, folks. I cannot believe it. Look at this big earthquake. If I was doing something like that and someone said, hey, go back to the last 30 days. This is nothing new. We've had a swarm of activity out here. That's constructive criticism. But I know what I'm talking about here. I've been to school for many years. I've got a degree. I'm working on my master's here. But I wouldn't do something like that. So when I see activity on the elevated side here that is in a region that's very close here to some big earthquake activity and has big potential for earthquake activity, I tend to speak up. So we're working our way down into the Parkfield segment. This activity here is very small microquakes. So this is the largest earthquake activity we've seen here in some time. The rest of the Parkfield segment is very well constrained for at least a 6-pointer. And when that 6-pointer hits, there's a very good possibility. This is not fairy tale. This is something that can take place where a 6-pointer could trigger that southern branch here of the San Andreas Fault because so much time has passed here, and it's along the same plate boundary. It's not like it's here in Europe. This is right just down the road here. So just be on guard, folks. Continue to watch it, monitor it. There's a lot of activity stirring up out here, so I appreciate the subscribes. I I appreciate the comments out there. The majority of the comments are 99% positive. And I very well try to respond to everyone when I can. If not, I'll give you guys a heart or a like. Even the negative comments, if it's something I can correct for them that they misunderstand, I'll try to speak up on it and reply to it. But anyway, folks, I'm out of here. Have yourself a good evening. We will catch you guys out here tomorrow for the Thursday morning update. Take care.